Hello everybody and welcome to the video notes for SBAC Review Day 5. In this video we are looking at problem number 5 and problem number 7. Number 5, it says to find the total area of the shape. Here's our shape and you will notice it looks like we have two rectangles that are stuck together. So we can divide this shape into two rectangles and find the area of each smaller rectangle. The first thing that I want to do is find the lengths of all the missing sides. I know that this full length of 15 is equal to this side plus this side. So if this side is 10 and this side is 15, 10 plus whatever is here has to be equal to 15. So that means that here has to be 5 because 10 plus 5 centimeters equals 15 centimeters. Okay, now we have that side. The other sides, all of this is 10, which means that this side, which is 4, plus this side, you add these two together, it has to be equal to this side. So 4 plus what equals 10? 4 plus 6 is equal to 10. Now I'm done labeling all of the missing side lengths. I can divide this into two rectangles. One way that I can divide this into two rectangles is like this. Like that. Here's a copy of it. Another way is you could also try dividing it like this. Either way will get you the same answer. This is 5, this is 6. Okay, so if we did it this way on the left, remember the area of a rectangle is length times width. So the length of this rectangle is 10. The width is right here, is 4. So the area of this top part is 10 times 4, which is 40 centimeters squared. This bottom rectangle, it's this side, which is 15, times this side, which is 6. So it's 15 times 6. 6 times 10 is 60, 6 times 5 is 30, so 60 plus 30 is 90. So know that this bottom part is 90 centimeters squared. To find the total area, I just have to add each of these smaller rectangles up. So that's 90 plus 40, 0, 13, 130 centimeters, and it's squared because area is always units squared, 130 centimeters. Let's just look at this other way if you solved it like this instead. This rectangle is this side times this side, which is 5 times 6. So we know that this is 30. Here, this rectangle is a 10 by 10. So that's 10 times 10, which we know is 100. If you add up 100 plus 30, you would get 130 centimeters squared. And look at that, we have the same answer. Let's move on to number 7. Find the volume of the rectangular prism, and it gives us these three lengths. And notice that two of the lengths have a fraction in them. Whenever you're working and you have to multiply fractions like this, here's one hint that I've written out for you right here. Let's read this hint. To convert a fraction into a decimal, all you have to do is divide the numerator by the denominator. So for example, 1/2 or 1 over 2, you could just divide the numerator by the denominator. Right, that would just be 1 divided by 2, and you get 0.5. If you had 5/8, you can convert that into a decimal, so it's easier to calculate into your calculator by dividing the numerator by the denominator. The numerator is 5, the denominator is 8. Right, so this is just 5 divided by 8 is 0.625. So let's try that with these dimensions right here. 7 1/2, if we wanted to convert that into a decimal, well, it's the same thing we did earlier. 1 divided by 2 is 0.5. Right, that one you should know in your head, but we can say that 7 1/2, that's the same thing as 7.5. And then here, 5 3/4. If we wanted to figure out what is 3/4 as a decimal, well, it's the numerator, which is 3, divided by the denominator, which is 4, and that's equal to 0.75, or 75 hundredths. So this height, 5 3/4, that's the same thing as 5.75 inches. And now that I have these as decimals, it's easier to multiply the decimals in a calculator than it is to multiply the fractions. All right, let's get to it. The volume, right, of a shape is the area of the base times the height. The area of the base times the height. So I know that this bottom rectangle right here, this is my base. And to find the base, I can multiply this length times this length, because it's like a rectangle. So this bottom base is 7.5 times 2. Right? And if you need to, you can do that in your calculator, or you might know that in your head. That 7.5 times 2 is equal to 15. So you know that the area of the base is 15. 15 times the height. Well, the height is up here, right? It was 4 3/4, and we changed that to 5.75. So know that the height is 5.75. We're going to multiply the area of the base times the height times 5.75, and we can use our calculator for this. So we can do 15. It's already on 15. Times 5.75 equals 86.25, or 86 25 hundredths, 86 1/4, all the same thing. So our volume, which was the area of the base times the height, or 15 times 5.75, is 86.25. And now what are our units? Well, we're measuring in inches here, inches. And since it's volume, it's like square cubes, or I mean cubic units. So it's inches cubed. That means we put a 3 up top. So the volume is 86.25 inches cubed. For the last one, these are two a little more difficult problems. Look at them both, and I just want you to choose one and solve that one.
Thank you so much for playing my game.